Well, welcome tonight. I'm glad all of y'all could make it. I know that the summer, with all this COVID stuff, it's getting us worn out. So, and with the heat. But tonight, Joe is going to present an introduction to Premiere Pro. There's a lot of us that don't know anything much about Premiere Pro, so we're looking forward to that presentation from Joe. What we have going on currently, I have programs scheduled through October, and then I'm kind of starting on November and December. Then we're almost getting into 2021. So in September, Glenn's going to present a program on structured data, which is very critical for SEO for your websites, for boosting your rankings there. And then Gay's going to present on creating emails in Dreamweaver. And I don't know how many of you know that you can do that. It's not very well publicized, but I think that would be something that we could all take advantage of. And then in October, Joe's going to do a presentation on Photoshop, because we haven't done anything on Photoshop this year. So he's coming up with something very interesting for us. I've left that up to him. And then in October, Bethany's going to do a presentation on, that's not right, it's on the A to Z databases. Yeah, so this is not right. This is what we're having tonight. So last month, she presented on some of the resources through the library, and the A to Z database is one of those things. Do you want to tell them just a little bit about that, Bethany? There's Susan.
There's Susan, good. Yeah, were you wanting to know a little bit about our resources, or the A to Z in particular?
The A to Z, yeah, A to Z. Just tell them just a little brief.
Yeah, definitely. So A to Z, what we're going to be talking about in October for this small portion of the meeting, it's really useful for anybody that's involved in business or just trying to get some information out there. Hey, Susan, welcome.
Hello.
And I'm going to do some more research on it before I actually present, and possibly even get somebody from A to Z to present to y'all, or have a video ready for y'all to watch about it. But you can do anything from look up addresses to folks that have recently moved to an area, to look up jobs in an area, to what are some of the other things? There's a whole lot of things on there. So
and they just told me the other day.
Oh, really?
And
you think that they would come and do a presentation?
Have a bunch of new training on the actual site.
Oh, exciting. And okay.
So yeah, I need.
Yeah, so we'll definitely include that in there as well. So it's actually really cool. It's a lot of stuff, and so I think if we kind of pulled out like some of the main areas that would interest like small business owners and you guys that are into all of the web spinning stuff, I think it'll be a really exciting presentation, and mostly just introduce y'all to it so you can go and play around in it yourselves. So
thank you, Bethany. That'll be great. Yeah. So this will not be correct. This Makerspace, I obviously copy and paste a lot. So and then in November, I don't know what we're going to have for the long program yet, but Elizabeth had asked about having something on choosing key phrases for your SEO. So I'm going to do a presentation on that. She had a few questions that she brought up that she would like to see presented at our meeting. So I'm going to try to start working those in. And then December, of course, I haven't done anything. I haven't figured that one out yet. So do you know who there was someone that just checked in? Do you know who this is?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think that might be Elizabeth. If they rejoin, I'll let them in.
Okay. And then I usually, if there's anything from Adobe, they don't put out that many announcements, but their Creative Cloud version 2020 has been released for all the products. So if you're using the Adobe Cloud, you'll want to check that out. And for our website changes, I always let you know if I update anything. And I've added, I'm going to bring up the website here. So I've added a new cheat sheet that Gay shared. And then I added the revision years so that you'll know what the latest cheat sheet revision was. So you'll know, some of them are not that updated, but I don't think they really changed all that much. And then I finally updated our meeting notes to include the June and July presentation files. So you can go check on those. So let me go to my next screen here.
And Kay, when the others are presenting, could you share y'all's website's address for like Cindy, who just joined us for the first time?
In fact, I've got it right
here.
Yeah,
there you go.
And so I'm going to show you on the website here in a minute and show you the website just briefly, and then show you where those meeting notes are and the other information that we have on there. So let me get to that screen here. Give me just a moment. And I need to get over here to my web browser. Is this it? That's Edge. Yeah, I can use that one. Okay, this is on Edge. So I have a little bit of an issue here that appeared this afternoon. I don't know why it's doing that, but I'll explain that in a minute. So this is our website, our homepage, and I'm trying to add more and more information as we go on. So we have information about the web spinners and who we are. There's some information here, and we try to feature, I'm going to change this. I haven't found a more current picture of the building since it's been remodeled, and so I'm going to change that. But we're trying to promote the library as much as we can, since y'all are so nice about letting us use it, and we really appreciate that and all the resources that you have available. So we try to always put that out there. And then under Adobe, we have information about all the apps, Adobe links. I've added manuals for all the products that I could find, and I put the version of that manual that we have. And if we find any new ones, if you find anything that's more up to date, or if there's anything you find that you think would be interesting to share, please send it to me and we'll be adding it. And then we've got tutorials on here. And for some reason, my menus disappeared on some of these pages, and it was too late this afternoon to try to go in and try to correct that, but I will get that done. So we have all kinds of links and resources here. And then under our calendar, here's another place you can find out, and I haven't added that November program and updated this, so it's not totally up to date. So I'll get that done. But I wanted to concentrate on getting the meeting notes. So this is where you'll find the meeting notes. And so all the speakers share their files or presentations with me, and then I add them, and I've got them from January through July. And I want to redo this so it's easier for you to find them. Right now you have to go to each individual page, and then you have to go back to the menu, which is not working right now. But this is where you'll find all the files. And so if you want to know what we covered that month, you can find my agenda file here, and then you can see what was covered for that month. And so then we've also got some resources here, our rules for our tickets, and other resource links that I've shared here. Rob gave us a bunch of stuff on Code High School, and so you never know what we're going to add there. So you'll want to check periodically. And then we've got some FAQs and then contact us. So our website is sawebspinners.com. So let me go back to my presentation and I'll wrap it up and then I'll hand it over to Susan. So let me do a new share here and here we go. Nope.
Can you post the link in the chat?
Can I what? I'm sorry.
Post the link in the chat.
Yes, in the chat, sure.
Thanks.
Okay. Get the chat pulled up here for myself. Oops. There we go. How's that? And then our email address, if you want to add the email address in case you think of something or see something on the website that needs to be corrected or something that would be good to add. Oops, that's not it. Let's say, let me do that again. You can see I'm not good at talking and
You can
at
always
the same
add it later
time.
too.
There we go. Okay. That's the email address. So,
Thank you.
and if you want to, if you're not getting my newsletters and you want to, just put in the chat your email address and I'll add you to our email distribution. Okay, so that takes care of that page. And so I usually have the long program first and then the short program, but I'm going to switch them so that Susan can go ahead and do her presentation. If she wants to hang around for the rest of the meeting, that's great, but she doesn't have to. I'll let her go ahead and do hers first. And then Joe will do his introduction to Premiere Pro. And then if you have any questions, you've got the chat window. You can enter anything in there and Gabe will be monitoring that if you have any questions. And then Glenn will tell us what he has coming up on their program next week for AAMUG, which is the Alamo Area Multimedia Users Group. And then Joe has the audio visual subgroup and he'll tell us what he's going to be covering and then we'll adjourn. So that is, do y'all have any questions or anything you want to ask? Okay, everybody's good? Okay, well, I'm going to stop sharing and Susan, you're good. You'll be good to go. Let me get this up here first. There's my stop share thing. Get it. Oops.
There you go, okay.
Did I show? Okay, good. All right.
Oh, Susan, you're muted.
Let me unmute. Okay,
Thanks,
there you go. Hi, everyone. I'm Susan Herr. I am the library director at the Mammon Family Public Library. And I don't know how much Bethany has told you about our makerspace. Have you talked about it before, Bethany?
We have a lot. Rob obviously has a great interest in it as well. So it's been mentioned many times, but it's so different now than it was when we started off. That's why we kind of really wanted you here. They asked me to speak about it and I was like, well, let's go to the real source here.
Right,
So we appreciate you doing this.
I have a vision of what I want it to be. So it started with, and you may know this, I'm just going to go in case some of you don't. It started with 3 years ago, we wrote a grant to do a cooperation with 5 other libraries, the New Braunfels, Bernie, Canyon Lake Library, Blanco, and Johnson City. And the grant was a library cooperation grant from the Texas State Library and through the IMLS, the Institute of Museum and Library Services. And we always have to mention this because they've given us a lot of money and they made all of this possible. And so the first year we purchased some materials and we had a vision of the way it would work is we would buy this makerspace equipment. We would at the time we were under construction. So we were planning to build a makerspace area at the library, but we thought the equipment would rotate between the libraries, and the libraries would each contribute some projects to do with that, so that we could have a book that everybody could share, or knowledge that everybody could share about this equipment. And so we bought 3D printers. We bought a large printer that does banners and things like that. We started doing kits of like jewelry making. So the makerspace was not just 3D printers and equipment like that more STEM related equipment. It was also creative equipment. So we bought some Cricut makers, some, now we have scan and cut, Brother Scan and Cuts. So it's for making anything. And we have now a huge woodworking trailer that we kind of envisioned would go to each of these libraries, and even at our library, we could open it up on a Saturday and put all the equipment out in the parking lot and teach people how to use woodworking equipment. And so we ended up getting 3 years of funding from the state for this. So we have a lot of equipment. We have resin printers, we have 3D printers. And now that we are in the new building, well, we have CNC mills, we have audio-visual equipment that is really nice. Now, unfortunately, some of it is out at other libraries. So it's not always available at our library. But my vision is that someday people will be able to have an orientation to become members and understand the policies and rules of the makerspace. And once that they do that, we would have somebody manning the makerspace, and people could come in and use the equipment. Part of making, in my mind, is you are learning the equipment, right? I shouldn't have to teach you everything about that equipment. You should be able to learn the equipment yourself, but I have to provide some resources for you to do that. And so I'm in the process now of trying to build the website up to have material on it that people could come in and say, I want to learn how to use this Cricut. I don't think there are so many YouTube videos out there. That is how we learn it. We also want to have classes on this, but we want people to be able to come in and try it. We don't want them breaking it, and we don't want them doing dangerous things, but we do want them to be able to utilize this equipment. But at the same time, we can't provide training for all of that. As a maker, you should be able to come in and use it and learn to use it yourself. We are having some of our volunteers, and if any of you have interest in any of the equipment, we have volunteers creating standard operating procedures for it, maybe videos on it. We will link to other YouTube videos, but it would be nice to have our own videos. And one of our staff members right now is taking some of the equipment, and what we want to do is have people who are just certified. So if you were certified on something, that means you've shown an expertise that you are able to use this. And you can come in, and I wouldn't even have to be in the room with you, because I know that you know how to use this equipment. I could, if you wanted to check it out for use in the library, I could put it in a study room for you, and you would be able to use that equipment on your own without supervision. When you're just learning before you're actually certified, we would want somebody there in the room to make sure you're not breaking things or being, banging the needle into that thing. We have sewing machines. We have so much equipment. And so, as far as like a sewing machine, if somebody wanted to come in and practice on a sewing machine and they weren't certified, I would like them to learn. I want them to be able to use that equipment to learn. But I would need to be in the room till I felt comfortable that they could take it in another room and use it themselves. So if you go to our website under resources, and this page is being redone, but right now it has the list of all the equipment we have. We have so much cooking equipment, and in this last year, we just finished purchasing for this year. We added a Glowforge. It's a smaller laser. We have an Epilogue laser, but now we have this Glowforge, which our Rob, and Rob knows him, swears that this is the easiest laser that he's ever used in his life, and it's wonderful. And so we have that now. We have what they were just putting together today, this Padcaster kit, which is actually an iPad, a 10-inch iPad on that for video for. It looks like, we were talking about it today, like you would do interviews with somebody. It has a microphone and a light, and you stand behind it and you're taping someone, and you can film them doing a video of some kind. I kind of envision it as if we were interviewing people for their oral history or something like that. But it's the equipment, and we have a huge variety. I mean, we have jelly printing things that people can use, kits that you can use to make mono printing. We have jewelry tools, and what I'm trying to do right now is gather all this back from these other libraries, because nobody's able to use it right now because nobody's doing any programming during this virus situation. So I'm trying to get it all back so that we can get it in kits, that we can catalog it, and you would be able to go into our regular catalog and see it. Now, this equipment wouldn't be available for checkout to take home, but you could come and use it at the library. So, and again, some of it may be checked out, but if it's in our catalog, you would be able to tell whether it was at our library or out at another library. So that is my plan right now. Does anybody have any questions so far? Or so we are looking, I mean, if you have any interest in volunteering, I'm hoping that we will have, we're going to have to hire a new adult programming librarian, sadly, because our Debbie Solberg is having to leave us. And so when we do that, this person will be stationed, that will be their office, is the makerspace. And so we will have somebody available when people want to walk in and start using this equipment, and have somebody in the room.
Susan,
Yes, ma'am.
you and Karen and I were touring the library before it had been completed. You were generous enough to show us all the way around, and we were looking at the makerspace. I'm Michael, and this is Karen back here. And I can't remember the fellow's name who was the physicist.
Yes, Daniel. Daniel Bullock.
Daniel. Oh, yes, Daniel. Is he still there?
He is no longer with us.
Is he okay?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. We were worried about him. So anyway, I had not heard about the woodworking trailer you'd mentioned.
Well, with this year, we were able to purchase the trailer with this year's grant. So we had some woodworking equipment, and Daniel had some classes using the equipment, but this year we purchased a trailer so that it could, because the equipment's so large with woodworking, we wanted to be able to transport it to other libraries or have it in, other places. So my husband has been instrumental in making sure that he built out this woodworking trailer for us, built a wonderful workbench that he attached many of the saws and things like that to. We can pull all that out. It's all on wheels, and he's got it all strapped in there so it travels nicely. And there's so much equipment. There's routers and there's a lathe. There's several different types of saws. What else do we have here in the woodworking trailer? Drill press, hand planer. So it's a full workshop.
It sounds very neat because so many people should be interested in woodworking around here, I would think.
Yes. But we knew and I think you might have been the one that mentioned it when you came on the tour, that makerspace is not going to be big enough.
I know.
I remember somebody saying that on one of the tours, and you're right. There's no way that we can fit all of that woodworking equipment in that makerspace and have it available for people. So that was one of the reasons that we wanted the trailer.
The trailer's a real good idea.
By the way, as far as the space, did you have to move the large printer? Last time I heard, it was in the check-in area where you checked in books.
Yes, and so you would not believe I had to take shelves off of the shelves, you know, the actual shelves, and move all the books so that I could turn it to get it into the makerspace. And I fought it for one afternoon, but it's in there and it will never come out of that room again.
Yeah, it's super large.
Yes, it is, and it takes up the whole back of one wall in that room, but it's in there now.
So it's still available for people's use if they want to be trained on it?
Yes, yes, we need to, now that it's in that room, it's more easily accessible. So yes, if you want to learn the large printer, and Katie is an expert at it, and Rob also knows it really well, our Rob, and I think you know it, Rob, you've used it.
Yeah, I was hoping to get some training. I mean, the last printer I worked with on it was an HP 5100, but this thing's probably 20 years old. That printer does circles around, because it cuts, it prints, it does a lot more.
Yeah. Well, and we got a cutter. We got a cutter from US Cutter that I don't think anybody has ever even used yet. We haven't, nobody's had the time to figure out how to work it. So we really need help with, we have a lot of stuff, and we need people who want to try to use this and learn how to do it. So and eventually, if they wanted to teach a class on it, that would be fantastic.
Now, you say that Daniel's no longer with you, but you're looking for a person to be a supervisor, because you sound like you are required to be there and you need to do other things. Are you still the director of the library itself?
Yes, I am still the director. So what we're looking, well, we had Debbie, I don't know if you've heard of Debbie Solberg, our adult services librarian, is leaving us. And so we have decided to make this a full-time position, since we had Daniel was part-time and Debbie was part-time. So we're thinking we will get a librarian who has some STEM interest in programming and also the crafty side. We're not sure who this person is going to be, but we're hoping to find somebody that will fit that and can have that as the makerspace as their office, like Daniel did once we opened. I don't know if you went in there after we opened.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's a very difficult position to know all of that equipment.
Yes. But think of all the fun things they get to play with.
I know.
So
anyway, I should stop talking and you move on.
Any other questions? Is there more I can tell you about it?
This is Glenn Barrows. How are you doing?
Great.
I have it's kind of an off-the-wall question. From what I understand, the way you've explained things, you are sharing a lot of equipment with 5 other locations. So it's kind of like split between 6 locations. I understand you're bringing it back to you right now during the current lockdown crisis and all that, but eventually it's probably going to get spread back out again. So here's my off-the-wall question. How much funding would your library need for you to be able to have it all and let the rest of them split whatever's there?
The grant funding, we spent probably close to $250,000 on this equipment. I mean, the first year was $75,000. This year was 64, and the last year was 40. So maybe 150, 200. But we own we are the owners of all this equipment, and the grant year ends the 30th of August. And the reason that I want to catalog it is we've been sending it out as labs. So we've been sending out a lot of equipment to these other libraries. We don't envision sending the entire lab anymore. They're going to be able to check out, you know, if they want 10 jewelry kits, they can take that. They won't need everything in the entire lab that we were sending before. So we will still have most of the equipment. One of the issues that we had was everybody found the laser to be very popular. So when the laser was checked out to other libraries, and we were doing it by quarters, so it was gone for a quarter. So what we kind of envision now is they wouldn't have it for more than a month. You know, there wouldn't be a reason for them to have it longer than that. And we would go every month and deliver and pick up whatever it was, you know, if it was the really large equipment. So,
Susan, may I ask a question?
yes.
Since Daniel's not there anymore and whoever's taking his position, so is there, I was working on a project and it got postponed because of what we're going through. Now I know Daniel's there. Who can I ask? It was a printing project. Who can I ask? I mean, I've got the file and everything. Who do I need to ask to complete? I mean, I know we're now in shutdown, but in the future, when the opportunity comes up.
Well, I don't see why we still can't print right now. I mean,
Okay.
we should be able to, and I believe we have a form. I need to see where that form's being
Okay.
sent, what email.
Right.
Because Katie is still there, and Katie
Okay.
actually ran most of the prints anyway.
Yeah, well, mine was actually not a printing, but a cutout. I was trying to make a big stencil. I was working on a project to make a stencil. And it worked beautifully, but things got kind of changed, you know, world's with that, so.
Okay. And was it on the large printer?
Yes, it was on a large printer. And Daniel was helping me with it, and we had to figure something out. But like I said, when the whole COVID thing happened last spring, we just, you know, everything got put down, you know, because we just couldn't work on it anymore. So.
Well, Rob, do you have my email? Do you want me to put that in the
Yeah, you just can, if you put it in the chat box, that'd be awesome.
Okay. Yeah, if anybody has any questions, just
Okay, that'd be awesome. Thank you.
Susan, would you bring up I was looking at the Makerspace web page and all of the resources that are there, kind of show people how they can find on the inventory. Maybe I was kind of looking at it, kind of shows.
let me get back to the main page. So this is our current website for it. And, you know, it talks about the policies and the inventory and the rotation schedule. And it's at our library. So if you're on our library page and you go to resources, you'll see MFPL Makerspace, and that gets you to this page. Now, right now, we don't have, these are the libraries that are sharing the Makerspace equipment, and it'll tell you if you go to the schedule what is out at another library. But if you just want to look at the inventory, General Tools is, you can see that we have 3D design, we have the 3D printers, and we have more now. We have additional 3D printers. We have a resin printer that we haven't added to this website. We have a candle and soap lab. This is the kind of stuff that I was saying I would make into smaller kits once I get it cataloged and brought back to us, because it's out right now. But for the digital AV, we have some interesting equipment. We even have a guitar. We kind of envisioned at some point maybe we could have a sound box and people would be able to come in and utilize this equipment. We have, this is the vinyl cutter. And that's what I was wondering, Rob, if that was something, if you're just cutting, would you use this?
Yeah, Daniel and I are working on it. So basically it was gonna be like 50 inches. Basically we're just cutting it out. Partially had to do with design because, long story short, I got a grant from the school I'm working at and I was trying to finish a project, and I was trying to make a stencil for the floor. And
Right.
But yeah, that's what I was talking, yeah, that's the printer. It's the one in that back room. I've seen it.
Yeah, the cutter is back there too.
Yeah.
So anyway, if you guys want to look through this, we have a lot of equipment, and some of it is out at other. We have a lot of STEM things for classrooms. Some of it is out at other libraries right now, but it will be coming back. And in the woodworking, as far as woodworking goes, this is all of the woodworking equipment we have, which is now in the trailer. So we have quite a bit.
Susan, I sent you a message through the chat. I was trying to see if that email is still good.
The one that I put in there?
No, the one I just sent you.
Okay.
It's maker at the library. Is that one still good?
Yes. And that should actually probably come to me now. It's not going to go. So anything that gets sent there would come to me or to Rob, our Rob.
Yeah, I know the other Rob. Your tech guy.
Yes. So any other questions on this? Hey, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you have a long program.
And everyone, this is something else that's kind of going to be helpful for y'all. You'll get a survey after class is over later on. And if you wouldn't mind filling out in there, there's, if you enjoyed it, if you learned something, all those normal things. But there's ideas for classes. And if y'all, with some of y'all's technical mindsets, have ideas for some of these things that we could do, or just anything at the library, we'd appreciate that there. There's also a spot for comments. So if you think of another question, you can definitely add that in there, and I can send it on to Susan. So
This has been great, Susan, and no, you did great on the time, so we appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. We'd love to talk about the Makerspace.
Well, like Bethany said, we've talked about it at different meetings, but we didn't know much, and Rob knows more than we do, but because he's used it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were just kind of general talking. So this is good.
we always say it's so fun and neat and there's so much stuff in it, but how are we going to use it? And I think we're getting a lot closer to it with Susan cataloging all of that stuff. It's a project, that's the least you can say, but it's going to make it so easy for us to be able to use it and to check it out for their libraries and know where all of our stuff is. It's going to be awesome.
So you visualize
virus to go away.
You visualize always having to share it with the other libraries, even if you have it exclusive at yours?
We would like to be able, because this is equipment, the whole point of the grant was that not all libraries can afford to buy this. If you think about Blanco and Johnson City, they won't ever be able to afford this type of stuff, but we want to be able to have it available to them to teach their communities as well. So I would like to continue to share as long as we can and as long as it's useful. I mean, over time, these things will get older too, right? Mm-hmm. But we've got drones, we've got all kinds of things. But I would like for all the communities, and we're only sharing it within 40 miles of us, so it's not going everywhere. And so I hope that we could continue this.
Do you have, or will you have, a way of, if we wanted to reserve or use a piece of equipment, that we can schedule a time? Say it's at Blanco, and so we know that it's not going to be back for a certain time, but we can go ahead and schedule, like going to the doctor or something.
Yes, and we had, prior to Daniel leaving, we did have appointments with Daniel that you could do that. So once we have our new librarian, hopefully by the time we open, it would be the same type of thing where you could schedule it. And we want to be able to have other staff members available. And if you were to become certified on it, again, you wouldn't need somebody there with you. We could just put it in a room and somebody else could just let you in that room to use it. So.
Well, I'm a crafter, so I see the cry cut, everybody uses those if you're doing crafts and stuff, and that would be interesting.
Oh,
among other things.
Yeah, and we got the little one now. We got the Cricut Joy. We've got the bigger one. We also have the Scan and Cut, the Brother Scan and Cut. So we've got several. I think we'll always have at least one of those at our library. So, that would be ideal. And to me, that's especially one of the ones where I would say you need to come in and learn how to use it yourself and play with it, because that's how you're going to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not too much you can break on that.
Yeah.
Knock on wood. But, you know, that's the kind of thing that I would like to say, yes, come in, sit down here, spend as much time as you want learning it.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, somebody's just in the room with you. They're not telling you how to do it. They may not even know how to do it, but you're having the opportunity to learn it yourself.
Yeah, I understand your cautiousness in just letting anyone come in and use them if they don't know what they're doing on it.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Kind of like, would you let somebody come in and just start playing with your sewing machine?
of course
Generally-
not.
No.
Not when they cost several $1,000s.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So,
Or when it's the laser etcher engraver or something like
Yeah,
that.
that's right.
I was gonna say not anymore.
yeah. So,
Now,
all right.
you still have the scanner that'll scan books, but scan them flat.
Yeah.
You mentioned that one time because I was asking about it. If I have a book
Yes.
that I scan, you can do. Okay.
Yeah, we have the digital scanner.
Okay. It's just good to know
Okay.
what's there.
Yeah.
Super.
So there's so much equipment. I mean, you really need to look through that website, and there's even more than is there on the website. So we need to update that.
Okay.
All right.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Susan. We appreciate you.
Okay. We appreciate you, Bethany.
We're so polite when we have people on
I
the
know.
Zoom chat with us.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you, guys. Okay, Kay, are we good for Joe to start now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Goes up.
All right, Joe.
There's Joe.
Okay. Well, I'll click it again. It says to unmute, but I'm not muted. Tonight, I usually come up with a video so that the live presentation sort of goes the way it's supposed to. I really didn't have time to do that. So we're going to be up on the Tightwire doing a demonstration of Adobe Premiere Pro. First, I did do this, and I'm going to share this part of the screen over here. And I did this as an opening. However, it's not playing the audio as far as I can hear. So here's what we're going to do. I'm just going to do the voiceover again. Maybe it's trying to. Well, okay. That's what happens when you're doing it all live. Here, we're going to back up. I'm going to tell you what I had said before on this video. So do you remember your first time? The first time you opened Premiere Pro and you saw all of these windows and all of these buttons and you said, oh, not me, that's as complicated as the space shuttle. Well, it's not really as complicated as the space shuttle. It's not rocket science, but it does require a tutorial. And the San Antonio Web Spinners, Adobe User Group, is giving you now Introduction to Adobe Premiere Pro CC. And so I went through at that point and did a bunch of, slides and things to show you. But what we're going to do is we're going to actually go live. We're going to share the screen again here like this. I'm going to do this desktop like that, which is where we are. And we're going to open Premiere Pro. Now, when you open Premiere Pro, the first thing you see is this window. You've got a list of your previous projects down here, and you've got, that would be open project. You can open any of those that you've been working on, or you can go to a new project. And that's what we're going to do tonight. The new project, you first put in a name, and we're going to call this Bernie River, see how great I can type? Road, walk. Well, let's make it walk. Okay, so Bernie River Road, walk. And then the second tells you where you're going to store the pieces, and that's going to be here on the red drive in the Web Spinners Premiere demo for August 2000. All the pieces are going to go in there, and if I click Browse, I can go put it somewhere else. But we're going to leave it right there. I'm going to say OK, and then there's that scary window that comes up. Now, I can move this window just a bit. What you want to do before you start actually in Premiere is you want to get your clips and the pieces that you're putting together into your video together. And so what I've done over here is I have 5 folders, and I've divided up the pieces that I want to use in this demonstration. We've got video, and we have 4 MP4 videos. There are actually 3 MP4s and an MOV, but 4 videos. Sound effects, we've got a couple of sound effects that we're going to try out. Music, I've got 1 background piece of music. Images, you can actually put still images in, and we have the 5 images here. And then I did a couple of things with the drone. And so we've got 1 that flies and 1 that's the walk. Okay, now the reason they're all in these folders, and you may have noticed that they are all labeled as to what they are, as opposed to the QR3454.mov or whatever, the way it comes out of the camera. So you go ahead and name those pieces that you want to use, because when you're trying to edit the stuff together, you really want to know what you're looking at. So what we've got are those folders. Now here is the actual interface. Up here you've got the source window. Down here you've got what they call the project window. To the right, this is the timeline, and here is the program window. Okay, the timeline is where you put your pieces together in order of time. And here, the program window, you can hit play and you can see the preview of what your material is going to look like. Across the very top, you've got several tabs for different versions of this interface. Right now we're in editing, and that's where we're going to stay, but you can go to color, effects, audio, graphics. You can go to the CC libraries. We're going to stay in effects. Oh, one other thing over here. These are the tools. I jumped over the tools a second ago. You've got your selection tool here, and that can be accessed by clicking on it or typing a V, just like paste on a word processor. Type a V. The next one here is the next one we're going to use is the razor tool, and the razor tool cuts your clips into pieces for you. And that can be accessed by clicking it here or typing a C. And finally, we've got the text tool, pretty obvious text tool. You put your text in and you type a T to get there. All right, when you first start, so we can make this a little bit bigger. When you first start, you want to import your media. And if you click on the file menu at the top, go to import, and we're going to find, it's on the desktop, I believe. Where did I put it? Now that I named it so it would be all together. Again, this is here, let's go back and let's say, let's just look for demo. And it is a folder. Let's try Premiere as a folder on the Mac. And let's do it by date modified, which should get it up near the top. I think it's in here. No, it's not in there. Just a second, I'll find it. I know I will. These are old screen recordings. All right, we're going to do it another way. If I can't find it that way, here's what we do. We take the window over here and we shrink it down so I can see this window where I have all the folders. And it's just as easy to do this, select them all and drag them down to the project window. You see, it's going to add 5 things down here. Boom, 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 boom. So now in our project window, we can make the screen larger again. In our project window, we now have the 5 folders: the drone, images, music, sound effects, and video. Now, if we click on drone, for example, it shows you the 2 pieces that are in there, the 2 clips. And you can go in here and actually scrub back and forth to see what that clip looks like. You can also do it over here. You could then double click on that thumbnail, and it puts it up here in the source window. And you have a scrubber up here where you can actually look at the video. Now let's say you don't want to use the entire video, because with the drone, it started sitting in the grass. So if you hit play and let it start, when you get to the point where you want your video to start, you simply tap an I. That's the letter I on the keyboard. You let it run through to where you want it to stop. And I'm just going to run it down near the end here, because what we want to do is we want to let it play here until we see, and we come down and we turn out toward the water, type an O. And you can see here that we have now just basically cut the center out of that piece. We can go up here and drag that to the timeline. If it had sound, the drone footage does not have sound. If it had sound, it would bring down the sound and the video. But then below that, in case you've got something where you only want the video, here you see the sound is grayed out because there's no sound, but you simply grab that, drag it down to the timeline. And what that does is it creates the walk video part as we're going to start our build into this video. You've got your video tracks up on the top half, video 1, 2, 3, and you can add more. You've got audio tracks going down 1, 2, 3, 4, and they correspond to the video tracks. I can use this slider and basically zoom in on the window, on the timeline, or zoom out on the timeline, but I can also grab it in the center and basically just move around on the timeline. And sometimes the timelines get very complicated and long, and you want to be able to zoom out and look closer or further away. All right, so we've got our base here. What are we going to add to this? Let's go back over to the project window, and let's look at, let's scroll this down. There we go. Let's look at the images, because we're on a sidewalk in the park, but we're also next to the river. So over here, I have this image, which I will just drag onto the timeline. You'll notice that if I move the cursor here, the software looks from the top down. So whatever's on the top, that's what it's going to see. So now the still picture of the river is above our walk video. So as it plays, you'll go walk, 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 boom, we're at the river. Okay, we want to do something more interesting with this video. So we're going to click on the still picture, and we're going to go back up here to the source window and click on Effect Controls. This lets you change all sorts of parameters with your image. So if we go over here and put this right there where we can see this image, what we want to do is we want to sort of, since it's a still image in a video, we want to sort of make it move. So what we're going to do is we're going to click the scale button here, and you'll see that it put a marker out here at the actual point in the video that we are. We can shrink this down and you can see it a little clearer, like that. And we'll reselect that clip. Okay, now we want it to start at this full 100%. So we can grab that marker and move it right to the very beginning. So now it's going to open up in this position. We can move the cursor on down to the end of that clip, And when we get to the end down there, we want it to look like it's moving. So we can go here, we can add another marker, and we can say, let's zoom that in like we've flown down the river, okay? And while we've flown down the river, let's go ahead and add a position marker there. Then we'll go back here to the beginning. Maybe we will. I'm not going to delete those keyframes. I just want to go back to the beginning like this, to there, and add a position marker at that point too. So it starts here and it ends there. And we do it like this. If we hit the space bar, we use the space bar to start and stop. And so we can move it along like that, and then it cuts back to the walkway. Okay, we're going to go back to the beginning. I'm going to make this a little smaller again. The other thing we want to do, it's kind of abrupt. Actually, let's go to the end again. Let's do one other thing. We've set its position. Make sure it's selected. So it says overhead. We've selected its position down here. But let's actually say we want it to tilt up at the same time. All right? So now let's see if that works. We go back here. And what's wrong? What's wrong is the position at the beginning is incorrect. So we go back here to the very beginning, to there, and we make it, we're into the walk. We want to go into the overhead. There we go. You have to get the cursor in the right place. So we're in the overhead. We want to put a position here where this picture is in the right place. So let's go up here and put it back where it belongs at the beginning. Quit moving. Back to about there. That's the marker. Let's put it at the very beginning like that. And let's play it again. All right, one more time. We move in and sort of move up. So it looks like we're kind of flying toward those trees. Like I said, it's kind of abrupt, so let's go in here. If you use the Command or Control key and type a D, that's the letter D as in dog, you end up with what they call the standard transition. And the standard transition is always a cross dissolve. So if I'm in here and I click on the clip and do Command or Control D, it puts a cross dissolve at both ends. And here's what it does. Instead of just jumping over there, we fade into that picture, we move along, and then we fade back to the walk. Okay? So it gives a little smooth transition. All right, I'm going to just move along here. We're going to go to some other pictures that we want to put in here. And since we're by the water, we want to put in some aquatic things. So what I've got is I've got a picture here of a turtle in the creek. And what I did wrong, and I keep doing that because that's why I usually videotape these things, I dropped it here in the walk area. And what it does is it basically just cuts a hole and drops it in instead of letting it overlay. So I will Control or Command Z, back it out, take the turtle and put him over here, put him on that video 2 line, and he is too small. So if we select it, we can go over here, scale him up to about there, so we can see that turtle peeking his head out of the water. And when you move, there'll be, here, I'll play it for you. Well, I'll do 2 things. I will make it fade in and fade out. Command or Control D, and you'll see we fade into the turtle, but it's there for too long. It's too long a clip. So we want to shorten that to, oh, let's say we see the turtle to about there. How do we shorten it? If you go down here and click on the end, you'll see it turns into this bracket with an arrow. And all you do is get the bracket with the arrow, cancel that, take the bracket with the arrow and slide it down to that marker. So now we see the turtle and we go back to our walk. If we wanted to have more of the turtle, you can just slide it on out, and now you've got a long transition into the turtle. Let's make him small again. There we go. So we'll continue our walk. We're going to go one more thing, and that's there are a lot, besides turtles, there are a lot of ducks, and you can see the ducks are also too small, taken with a different camera, and so the image was smaller. We simply go over here, blow the ducks up, not literally, hit the scale button, the stopwatch on the scale, and bring that back to the very beginning. So we're going to start here, and let's just do something simple. We'll go to the end, and we will zoom in slowly on the ducks that way, put that at the end there. Okay, back here, Command or Control D, and we're going to fade in and fade out, and let's see what we've got. We see the ducks, and we're slowly moving in on the ducks and back to the walk. Now down here in the master video, in the walk video, you can see this little dock, and the dock is where people actually come and fish. I've been there several times, and I've never seen anyone catch anything, but the practice of casting is about all that it's good for. So let's put in one more piece, because there are a lot of families there. And here was a dad teaching his son how to fish. So we'll click on the fishing dad. We will click on the scale button. We will zoom that up so we can see them. Basically, you're repeating the same kind of action over and over again, sizing, moving, and so on. Command or Option D, we've got the fade in, fade out. We're going to make it shorter to about there. And by the way, if you look up at the source, at the program window, you can see as I move it back and forth, it shows left and right the image that I've got overlaid and the walk image underneath. All right, so we'll just go back here to the ducks for a second. We'll watch the ducks fade out. We'll walk a little further. We'll see the dad and his son fishing. Okay, now I've got something that sort of ties this together, and we're going to go back and find the videos, one of the folders that has the videos in it, and we're going to say, let's take this one called Bobber Out. I got a little video of some of their action in the water. So we'll go back here. Let's make this where I can see it. There we go. We'll go back here, click on Bobber Out, and we will start here and play that. And we want it to go just to about there. That's all we need, a little in and out. Now, you can see that that video is way too long, all right? We can go over and slide the end in like we did before, or we can click over here or type a C and get the razor tool. And with the razor tool, you simply click and it has cut that clip into two pieces. Type the V, go back to the select tool, take the second part of it, and you can delete it. Now you noticed here that it also has something down here on the soundtrack. We don't want that sound. That sound is just wind noise and so on. So you go up to the menu for clip and say unlink, or Command or Control L. They're now unlinked, and you can then click on the sound and say goodbye to the sound. We go up here, Command or Control D, and we're going to fade that in and out. And let's see what we've got. We see the dad and the son fishing. And we go to the water, and we see the bobber coming in and back to the walk. Okay, we're getting there. Now, besides all the ducks, there are lots of turtles. If I double click on the turtle video, you can see what we've got. We can take it back to the beginning, press play. As we press play, you can hear it's got bad sound. It's just what was going on. You can watch these turtles swimming. And if you click the I, that's going to be the in point. And you click the O, and that's the out point. Hit the space bar to stop it. Now, as you heard, it has audio with it, and we don't want that audio. So down here, you've got the video or the audio. So we're going to drag down just the video right about there. And we'll do the Command or Control D, put those fades in. We want this to be kind of soft, no sharp cuts. So there's the bobber, and we're in the water. We come back to the walk, and then we find turtles in the water. And there we go. Okay, so among other things in the park, we found, let's go back to our images, found this tree where someone had carved their initials into the tree. And there you can see you've got two tree trunks and a name carved. What is it? It's a name, of course. A name carved into the tree. We put the fades on it. We go here, and we're going to have it go back to the effects controls. We're going to have it start here. Let's make it a little further on just so we can see what we're doing without the crossfade. What we want to do is we want to start here, and we want to put a position marker at that point, and we want to put a scale marker at that point. So now we've got keyframes for position and scale that tells us where we're going to start. When we get to the end over here, we want to kind of move in on that little love note on a tree. So we'll scale it up a little bit. About, oh, let's say there. And then we'll have it move to the center by using the position slider here and the scaling slider over here in the effect controls. So we'll take those two, just basically select them and drag them to the very end so that we're doing the walk and we look at the trees and we see somebody typed or scrawled alley into the tree. So we're walking along. We've got, stop. Hit the space bar to make it stop. We've got a couple of other things we want to put in, and that is, go back here. We go back to the videos, because I've got a video of one of the, you've heard of the ugly duck? Well, this is one of them. Let's put him in there. This is a Muscovy duck, and they're not really very pretty. So you've got all sorts of ways to do this. We'll start right about there with his silhouette. We'll drag down to about there, and we'll drag the end in like so. Select it, Command or Option D, we put the fades in, and we'll go back here as we end with alleys. We walk along a little further. We see the duck. That's probably enough of the duck right there. So we're going to slide this in just a bit, shorten that clip up by sliding the end in. You can also see that we have audio here. Before, we simply deleted the audio, and before that, we drug in just the video. You can also go over here to that audio track and hit mute, and then you just basically turn the sound off. If for some reason you might want to go back to it, but there's the duck in all his silent glory. I'm going to go ahead and delete that by going to Clip, Unlink, select the sound, and get rid of it. I will then unmute that sound. There was something funny going on, and we're getting to the very end here. Here are the videos. We have these ducks. I call them the Donalds, and they're all white ducks. They don't have a sailor suit, but they are Donalds. And so they're walking along and quacking as we're letting it play, finger over the I button, the I key, because this guy right there in the middle spots something. Here he comes, and he starts yelling. He found somebody having a picnic way over there, and he leads all the other ducks over to try and wangle some extra food. Let's just shorten that up a little bit like that. So this one, we want to keep the ducks quacking. So we're going to go up here and we're going to take the entire clip and drop it down there. All right. So Command Control D. And we're going to move it in a little closer like that. All right. We're almost to the end there. I'm going to move you can move the sound up so that they sort of stay closer together. So I moved it up to audio 1. Finally, as we end this, we're going to go back up. We're going to go back to the drone shot, and we've got one here called Fly. And I'm going to click it, double click it, bring it up in the window above, and we're going to slide it back and forth till because it was just kind of, what am I going to shoot here? So we're going to go to about right there and hit the I key. And then we're going to go, nope, it's still got that bobble. We're going to hit the I key again until we get to there we go, in point, and we slide on down to about there and hit the O for the out point, drag it over here. Here, just the video. Drag it over here, and I'm going to put it at the very end following our walk. And now, if I select, I don't want to do that. I got to get in here and select both of those clips, the walk and the fly, Command Control D, and if I zoom in on that for a little bit, you can see that it put a crossfade between those two. So we've got the squawking ducks, which are too small, as you can see, but then we dissolve from the turn to the river to the final fly piece. All right, let's zoom this back, because what I didn't do was I didn't blow up the ducks, and which is what I was going to do in the first place. So again, effect controls, we're in the ducks, we click the scale button, we zoom them up so they fit. Okay, then we take this point, push it to the very beginning, so then if we play it, we'll go from the Muscovy duck. With the ducks running and squawking, and back, we turn toward the river, we dissolve into the shot into the sunset. So there, that's pretty much the video. But we've got a few more things to add. We're going to go back to the very beginning, because what we haven't used yet is the type tool. So if we go up here and click on the graphics window, you see all the layouts change. We now have over here the essential graphics window, and we've got a place to edit our graphics text. All you have to do is take the text tool, click in the window, and you get this little red box. And the little red box means that this is editable type. So we're now going to say, let's call this again, Bernie River Park. All right, if you click in the red box, you can select everything. And then over here in the graphics window, you can drop this down and find the font that you want. And I think it's going to be, no, not GG. Let's use Grana Padano. I don't know. Just a font. And here we're in medium, and we're going to slide the size up like so. We're going to click the alignment to put it in the center, but we also want it in the center of the video frame. So we'll click here, put it in the center vertically, here to put it in the center horizontally. We will also slide it over just a bit so it's not at the very beginning, make it fade in and out, and let's make it a little bit longer, okay? So here's what we've got. We press the play button, we start the walk, we get a title superimposed over the Burney River walk, and we continue to walk, and we've got the turtles and so on and so forth. Now, we want to hit the space bar and make it stop. Thank you. Here, I'll hit the button and make it stop. We want to go down here and put the title again at the end. So I select the title, I hold down the Option key, and I just slide it on down here. Now, we'll go down to the end where we can see it. We can drop it down right on top so we can see what it's doing. And I want the title to remain on the screen after the sunset fly shot has concluded. So I'm going to stretch it out a little further, make it start a little sooner, and then if I zoom in and find it again, there we go. If I click here, I've got actually the crossfade, and if I take this and slide the crossfade out, it makes the crossfade last longer. So we're just basically, you can see how the cursor changes. Instead of just with the arrow, it's now got that crossfade symbol on it, okay? So we've got a longer fade. Let's see what it does at the end. We come here, we're flying toward the sun slowly. Actually, no, because yeah, here we go. There's the graphic. Why is it not working? Well, I don't know. Let's just disappear it, go back to the beginning, and we'll try it again. I want to take the graphic, which we know is now disappeared there. I wonder why. I wonder why. I wonder why. Okay. That's the graphic. Let's go with it. Somehow I deleted the text, so we're going to go back in here. We're going to take the text tool. We're going to click in here. We're going to say Burney River Road Park. My typing is great. That's why we do this recorded. Okay. Burney River Road. 2 E's. No, that's not right either. R-O-U. Go away. Click right there. Okay, fine. I'll just click there and type the whole thing again. B-O-E-R-N-E. River. Road. P-A-R-K. Okay, then if we center it, and we center it, and we center it, we've now got Burney River Road Park there. Now, I don't know what this was, but it's going away. And we're going to put this down here. This is the title. We go back to the beginning. We're going to zoom this. We're almost there. Patience, patience. Putting the final touches on this. Put that in. Slide this back to about here. Let's play the beginning part again. Make sure it works. Okay, we've got a superimposed title. It fades out. Now, I optioned and slid it down. For some reason, that didn't work. But we're going to try it again. We're going to make it small enough that we can see the whole thing like this. We're going to select that one, hold down the Option key, drag it down here. Let's just let it play down here for a second, make sure that that's going to come up. Okay, so the title comes up. Now we can do those things that we were trying to do before, and that's stretch the title out so that it plays over the black at the very end after everything fades out. And then go here and click on the, and zoom in so we can do it, click on the crossfade part and make the crossfade come up as slow as possible. So now we'll go back here and we'll see just a real slow crossfade into the title. The background disappears, River Road Park stays there. Okay, so we're almost done. But what we want to do, one of the things we want to do is, it's just silent right now. So let's go over here to the, back to the folders and go to sound effects, because I've got a couple of sound effects here. And if you double click on a sound file, it puts it up in the window just like it was a video file, and you can play it. And we've got some water. Okay. Or you can, the other one I think is better because it's more subtle. We can play that one. Yeah, okay. So all you have to do, you can see here that it's only sound. So we drag that down to about right there where the water starts. And then we hold down the Option key and we duplicate it because this is a looped sound. And we'll duplicate it one more time. Like that. No. Like this. Duplicate yourself. There. There. And snap to the end. There we go. Okay. So now you can just play a little bit of it. You can hear the water off to the side. And as we come up here, there's the Muscovy, and then you can still hear the ducks. And then we're at the end. Okay. Now the thing is, the video fades out, but we want the sound to fade out too. So we go down here and select that line and pull it down so we can see the audio path. And let's go right in here so it's bigger. Down to about here where we want the water sound to start to disappear. And how you do that, this little white line in here is the volume control for that sound file. If you hold down the Command key and click right there, you see you get a blue dot. If I go down here and Command click or Control click on the PC and you get another dot, if you pull that down, look what it does. It fades out the sound. So if we go right here, we've got the sound. We've got the title. And it fades out. Okay. One last touch. We're at 7:35. We're okay. We got one last touch here. I want to put some music behind it as well. So let's get it down where we can see the whole thing again. Oh, and the other thing you can do, of course, you see this extra sound. It's all silent out here, but if you, first let's go back to our editing menu. We were over in the graphics menu. If we click on the razor tool, we can go right in here to this line and cut that out so that sort of neatens things up and get rid of that extra stuff that we're not going to use. Now, let's go back over here to the music folder. One thing, I'm going to give us a little more room here by tightening up that line, and I'm going to grab this music piece and put it in here, starting at the very beginning. Now, the music piece is too short. Well, it happens. And so if you go over here and click on that tool, you've got the ripple edit tool, the rolling edit tool, and this one, the rate stretch tool. Remember when we were cutting the video, we were basically just pushing it back, cutting off the ends of it. But here, when you've got this tool, if you grab the end of it and pull it out there, it actually stretches it. Now, if it stretches an audio file, it's going to change the pitch a little bit, but I think this one will work fine. And we're going to spread this one out again so we can get down here. We're going to get back to the selection tool. We're going to click here at the end with the Command or Control key, click at the very end, have it fade out. We're actually going to have the music fade out for a little longer, go all the way to 0. And we're going to do it here at the beginning, so it just sort of fades in at the beginning. So we'll Command or Control, put a dot, Command or Control, put a dot, pull this down, and now let's see what we've done. Okay. And that's what we've made. Now, what are we going to do with it? Well, we have to get it out of Premiere Pro, and that's the very last step. You go to File, you go to Export, you go to Media, and you'll get this window. The format up here will just say Match Sequence Settings, and that'll take care of a lot of it. We're going to call the output name, we're just going to call it Walk MPEG. Now, if we don't match the sequence settings, we can go down here and have all sorts of choices. So we can put it out as a Blu-ray. We can put it out as a PNG movie. You can actually put it out as TIFF files. I let go of the clicker there for a second. You can put it out as JPEG and so on. So we're just going to match the sequence settings. So it's going to put it out as an MPG. You've got a summary here of the video and the audio and so on. We're just going to let it do what it wants to do. And we're going to click Export. Well, actually, let me check here. What I want to check is where it's going to go. And I'm going to put it out, actually put it out on the desktop. We just called it Walk. We're going to say Save. We're going to say Export. And it zips along. It renders, and then it does what it's called encoding. It takes about, right now, 1 minute and 51, 50, 49, 48, 47. It moves quite quickly. And the entire video that we put together is 1 minute, 34 seconds, and 29 frames. While it's doing that, you can see over here, this is the total length over here. And this is what the time code looks like. 1 minute, 34 seconds, 29 frames. A second of video, 1 second of video is 30 frames. And so we're at 1 minute, 34 seconds, and 1 frame off of 35 seconds. 47 seconds to go, 46. So it can get very critical about the length, especially if you're doing something, you know, for broadcast, because they have very specific time frames. You may have seen every once in a while a local commercial that cuts off at the very end because they made it a little too long. All right, it's done that. Let's see if I can take Premiere Pro out of the way, get this out of the way, and we should have this movie, which we just saw, but now it's an MPG. Full screen, full size. There's a lot to Premiere Pro. We've just barely scratched the surface here. There are all sorts of effects. There are all sorts of color corrections you can do. There's just, if you use Photoshop, you know how deep Photoshop is? This is equally deep as far as different ways to do things and different ways you can work with the same images. The important thing to know is telling a story. And we sort of told a story here about a little walk along the River Road Park. As the sun sinks slowly in the west, we leave the Bernie River Road Park and return to San Antonio Web Spinners.
That was great. I learned more. I've seen a lot of demonstrations with the timeline and all, but they usually didn't make much sense, but I saw how you put it together.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you.
That was great, Joe.
Thanks. We try.
It's very good.
Live is always fun, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. It was when I had a cooking school, and my wife would be, you know, mixing biscuits or something, and said, "Well, why don't you go make hollandaise for everybody?" And, oh, okay. Make hollandaise live in front of all these people? Okay. So it's that kind of thing. You do it, and actually, there's a secret. I saw when we used to go to Photoshop World, Scott Kelby did a class called "You Think You Can Teach Photoshop?" And the one thing that he said was, doing it live, you literally have to make a mistake, so people know you're not perfect and trying to stand above them. So I'm really good at that. I make a lot of mistakes, so you know. All right, well, thanks, everybody. That's what I got.